Alright, we're going to do the notes on solving one-step inequalities. So solving inequalities is very similar to solving equations. So some of this may look very familiar. Let's start with this equation. I want to get x by itself. In order to do that, I need to get rid of positive 6, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. 6's cancel. X is equal to negative 1. To solve an inequality, I'm going to do it the same way. Again, I'm going to subtract 6 to get rid of positive 6. And I'm going to keep the sign. So just like I brought down the equal sign, I'm bringing down the inequality sign. My answer here is x is greater than or equal to negative 1. That's a closed circle on negative 1. And I'm going to the right. There it is. Alright, next one. To get rid of minus 2, I'm going to have to add 2. X equals 7. So in the same way, I'm going to solve this inequality, getting rid of minus 2 with a plus 2 on both sides. And I'm going to bring down that less than or equal to sign. So that is a closed circle on 7. And I'm going to the left. Alright, I'm going to skip the U try. Alright, so here's the rule. This is the rule. When multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality symbol. When multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you must flip the inequality symbol. So let's try one. Look at this problem. This is negative 3 times x. They are next to each other. So my coefficient here is a negative 3. So in order to get rid of that multiply by negative 3, I'm going to have to divide by negative 3. Okay, here's what I divided by. Dividing by negative 3. That's what that means. So when I divide by negative 3, my 3's cancel. I get x and negative 4. Because I divided by a negative number, I'm going to flip the sign. Instead of being a less than or equal to, I now have a greater than or equal to sign. I'm going to find negative 4 to put a closed circle and go to the right. Let's look at the difference between this one and number 4. Number 4, the coefficient is 7. I'm going to divide both sides by 7. Okay. So again, what I was doing there is I divided by 7, so I do not need to flip. I divided by a positive 7. Okay. So even though the 49 is a negative number, what I'm actually dividing by, that coefficient, that 7, that is positive. So I don't need to flip it. The difference between the two, this is dividing by a negative number, this is dividing by a positive number. So now I can graph this. Open circle on negative 7, going to the right. Dividing by a negative makes you flip the sign. Alright, next 2. And look at this. This is showing dividing by negative 2. So the opposite of divide by negative 2 is to multiply by negative 2. That's how I get that to cancel out. So I multiplied by a negative 2. When you multiply by a negative, you need to flip the sign. My 2's cancel. X and negative 2 And instead of a less than, I should now have a greater than symbol. So on -2, I can put an open circle, and I'm going to go to the right. And look at the difference between 5 and 6. In number 6, it's showing dividing by 3. So to get rid of divide by 3, I'm going to have to multiply by 3 on both sides. Okay. Number 5, I multiplied by a -2. I needed to flip. When I multiply here by a +3, I do not need to flip. No flipping there. The 3's cancel. X, keep my, oops, I almost flipped it. Keep my less than or equal to sign, and this is a 6. So on 6, I need a closed circle, and I should be going to the left. Okay, I'm going to skip the U try. Now this statement up here is what we already talked about when we were doing graphing. When the variable is on the right, you want to solve the inequality, then rewrite it with the variable on the left before you graph. So this is just like what you were doing before when you saw something like this. And I said, oh, the variable's on the right, switch it around. That's what this means. So it's just the other rule for flipping. So I'm going to just solve this equation first. So when I look at this inequality, notice I've got a very lonely x, a -x, so I'm going to give him a friend, give him 1. So now I see I've got multiplying by -1. So to solve this, I'm going to have to divide by -1. My -1s will cross out, x and 10, and because I divided by a negative number, I'm going to flip the sign. Now this is the correct answer. However, if you're given a graph, you want to flip it back around to put the variable onto the left side. So I'm going to flip and put x and 10. I was pointing towards the x. I'll continue to point towards the x. This number line doesn't go up to 10. Guess I'll have to add some. 8, 9, 10. Alright, open circle on 10. Going to the left. Let's look at the next one. -10 is less than or equal to x minus 5. To get rid of -5, I'm going to add 5. Got x, -5. And all I did was add here. I do not need to flip the sign. The sign stays the same. Now I am going to flip the entire thing back around. Pointing towards the -5, continue to point towards the -5. Close circle on -5, going to the right. Let's look at the multiple choice practice here. And these are the ones that are actually really tricky. Which is a value for r that makes the following true? So there are two strategies here. You can solve these types of problems by substituting each answer choice into the inequality and see if it's true, or you can solve it and see which answer choice would make it true. So this first one I'm going to solve. To get rid of -12, you need to add 12, both sides. Do not need to flip the sign. So when I read this, this says r is greater than 36. I'm going to do that on a quick little graph. When I do this, I don't need to draw a graph that goes from 0 to 36. I can just put 36 in the middle, give it an open circle, and an arrow of which way to go. Which of these numbers would fall onto that graph? Negative 13, not greater than 36. 13, not greater than 36. Negative 37 is not greater than 36. 37 is greater than 36. I can plug that in. 37 greater than 36. That is true. Let's look at the next one. I'm going to solve this first, then I'm going to show you a substitution. So this is a multiply, so I need to divide by negative 4. Because I divided by a negative number, I am going to flip this sign. Y is less than negative 8. If I put this on a number line, open circle to the left. So I need whichever number is less than negative 8. Remember, this is not an equation, so this is not what number is equal to negative 8. So negative 8 is not going to work here. So it does not have an equal to line. 8 is not less than negative 8. Negative 7 is not less than negative 8. That would be somewhere over here. Negative 9, that is the only one that works. It's less than negative 8. Now I'm going to show you through substitution. This is the other way you can do it. If you forget how to solve this, I can substitute each of these in for y to see if it works. So my equation, my inequality, is negative 4y is greater than 32. Okay, so let's plug in a. A is negative 8. Negative 4, plugging in negative 8 for y. Negative 4 times negative 8 is 32. I'm left with 32 is greater than 32. That does not make sense. That does not work. Let's try b. Negative 4, I'm plugging in positive 8. I get negative 32 is greater than 32, which is not true. Okay, 2 more to try here. Let's look at C. Negative 4, I'm plugging in negative 7. It's greater than 32. That's 3. This is 28. 28 is not greater than 32. Okay, this will show you where D is the right answer. Negative 4, negative 9. That gives me 36. It's greater than 32. That's the only one that is true. Only one that is true. Okay. These are the notes on solving one-step inequalities.